Good afternoon, folks. It's time for another set of hobby nightmares that we've got in today. Working on a bigger video for later on in the week, but if you like what we do here on the channel, please feel free to subscribe, like the video. There's Patreon doobly-doo down below. And we also have a Discord that I do not charge for. I get asked this question all of the time, even though it's at the start of most of my videos. It's free. The Discord is free. Come on, come talk to us. Come talk about the hobby. Or anything. There are lifestyle things on there, general advice channels, you know, NSFW channels. Just come on, have a word with us, have a chat, and have some fun. So yeah, later on this week, I'll be doing a video on bullying in the hobby, and I've finally gotten round to using some of the evidence that I've been given. That's been really, really interesting from certain members of the community, so I'll be getting around to doing that later on this week. And also, obviously, I've got a new series that I'm going to be starting to do called Why I Like. Literally, that's it. I take something that I like and I tell you why I like it. And I do that for about half an hour. Not that interesting to people who are interested in the hobby, or might be, if it's got something to do with the hobby. But anyway, let's jump into the mailbag and start reading some of your stories that you've sent me over the weekend, over the last 5 or 6 days. So, Imperious, good afternoon, sir. And he says, this is our first story, it's a very short one. He said, I've had a super cocky guy who refused to treat me with any respect because you play Tau, quote unquote. Also, he was pushing his rulebook in my face, being very rude when I asked to see the rules of his Forge World unit. Are all Forge World people like this? Have you come across them? Thanks for the channel, blah, blah, blah. Okay, thank you very much, man. So, in general, arrogance in the hobby is something that you will come across every now and again. It is something that people in the hobby, it's not just Games Workshop, it's not just Warhammer 40,000, this is across the board in nerddom. If you're into a geeky hobby, you will find people who are just, you know, far superior beings, who float above everybody else because they have no character flaws, and obviously they think that they are the absolute bee's knees and the best thing going. And you will come across them. Best thing to do is just to not play them again. Or, if they're really getting up your nose and spoiling your day, explain to them why you're making the decision. Say, look, I'm not enjoying this game. I'm finding you to be extremely arrogant, and you're upsetting me in your own attitude. You know, I don't think we're getting along. I'm going to pack up my models and go and play elsewhere. I wish you all the best for the rest of your day. And I wish you the best of luck in the rest of your games. Hope you have a fantastic time today, but I'm going to go and play elsewhere. That's the best way to approach this stuff. Is that easy to do? Hell no. Would I be able to do it? Probably not, because I've got a temper, and I'll probably just end up, you know, shoving one of my Space Marines up the guy's nose. But at the same time, that's what we should be doing. Those are the standards we should be holding ourselves to in the hobby. Now, are all Forge World people like this? No, but you will have people who have Forge World units as part of their army who have very peculiar attitudes, rather elitist attitudes, rather arrogant, I have more money than you attitudes, arrogant, you should be lucky to be playing against me because I've got this Mastodon or whatever I've got from Forge World, and you should be feeling very lucky to play against this because it's very rare, right? You will get that kind of an attitude. When Games Workshop makes certain things, when they make certain factions or armies in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, some of them, and I am telling you this now as a true and tested thing, I've asked, right, this is a thing, in the studio, they know who you are. And when they make certain armies and the lore behind certain armies, sometimes they like to poke fun at you without you even realising it. I've said this before in some of my videos, but the Red Scorpions chapter of Space Marines are the representation of everybody who buys Forge World units, right? And let's look at some of the calling cards of the Red Scorpions. Number 1, they're extremely arrogant. Number 2, they think they're extremely special and that they're the only ones who are true enough to stick to the Emperor's true purpose. Number 3, they're obsessed with purity, right? And with the rightness of the Emperor's cause. Number 4, they get all of the nice shiny toys first, and they think that's what makes them special over everybody else. Ringing any bells? Yeah. yeah, they definitely do take you as inspiration sometimes for some of the armies that they choose to create in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. And are Red Scorpions on a whole nice people? No, they're douchebags. They are the heightness of douchebags. So I think I look at it in this way. Do you find Clark Kent, do you find Superman terrifying? Because I do. I do. The reason why is because Spider-Man's disguise is Spider-Man, right? He's actually Peter Parker, but his disguise is Spider-Man, right? What's Superman's disguise? It's not being Superman, because that's who he is. His disguise is Clark Kent. And so his disguise is him wanting to fit into human society. So how does he view humans? Well, let's look at Clark Kent. He's snivelling. He's grovelling. He's meek. He's weak. He's unlikable on many fronts. Right? That's how he sees the human race. And in the same way, Games Workshop, when they create people like Red Scorpions, that's how they see people who buy all the Forge World models and act like douches on the tabletop. Right? Moving on. Thank you, Imperius. Really good story. Moving on. Okie dokie. Let's go through this. So, Primik. And by the way, I don't read these before I start recording. I go into the mailbag and I scroll through until I find one that has an interesting first line, and I just start reading. So, if some of these stories are a bit shit, blame person, not me. But Primik. Hey, man. Love the channel. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. Went to a gaming club to play some friends 2v1. Alright, cool. I don't like 2v1 games before I jump into the story. I generally find them to be not that fun. But hey, you know, I'll get into it. There's a social aspect to it, you know what I mean? It's got to be 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 for me. They asked me to bring my knights. Oh god, this is going to end well, isn't it? And they bring Ultramarines and Guard. It was really fun, with some really cool moments, like a captain finishing off one of my knights with their bolt gun. Oh, that's cool, man. See, you're a really cool hobbyist. Because, you know, you're bringing knights, and you know what? When funny shit happens, you just sit back and laugh and go, well, that was an awesome moment. Really cool. Well done, man. Until someone at the club we'd never spoken to before decided I was scum of the earth for bringing knights, calling me all sorts of expletives, and trying to basically take over the Ultras/Guard side, because he wanted to personally teach me a lesson, I guess. Anyway, we collectively told him to fuck off, and he walked off in a huff. Alright, so he then goes on to say, why does this happen to knight players? Me and some buddies did a 3v1 of knights versus marines and Tau that my friend borrowed from me. And Death Guard had a beautiful moment of a lone crisis taking on a knight in close quarters combat. He had a knight helmet as a shoulder pad now. Then some rando was so pissed I was stomping around with my lads, picked up my Riptide and told my friend, put this here and he can shoot that knight, then broke the shield off of him. We kindly asked him to leave. He didn't. Wow. The store... We told the store owner, he still didn't. Then the store owner, big tall buff dude about 6'3", picked up and threw out this man who needed to show me what getting asked was. So, unfortunately, there are certain people in the hobby who don't like big armies, and what I mean by that is, if you have an army that is the current meta, I'm guessing knights were the current meta quite a while ago, in 8th as well, for a little while. So I'm guessing this is around that time. Because I've been getting... I still get, when I use my Grey Knights on the tabletop, I still get hobbyists coming up to me and bemoaning me for how overpowered my Grey Knights are, despite the fact Grey Knights have been really quite underpowered for years now. 10, 15 years. We've been quite underpowered. We haven't been very powerful at all. Middling at best, right? They still remember the Demon Hunters Codex that Matt Ward wrote 20 years ago. And they think that's what I still play, you know, even though we're 4 or 5 editions down the road now, and we're 4 or 5 Grey Knight Codexes that have been woefully just normal since then. And I still get shit now. Like I'm playing that Codex right now, you know, like, and these people, you can't reason with them. You just have to just like say, look, man, one, you know, those rules aren't what I'm playing now, the ones you're referencing, so, you know, do you mind just leaving me alone so I can play with this current middling codex? It's not very good, you know? And, you know, if you're not invited to a table where a game is going on, go over, and if you do not have anything nice to say, don't approach the table, right? If you've not been expressly invited to stand at that table and watch that game of Warhammer, or whatever game they're playing, do not walk over unless you have something nice to say. That's the rule. If I ever have a gaming club, or if we ever get together as part of the channel, that's the rule. If you do not have anything nice to say about the game, don't approach the table unless you're expressly invited to approach the table. It's kind of like dogging in that way. Not that I go dogging, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, like, don't get involved unless you're invited to, right? It's a game between two people. They're not there for your entertainment, right? They've gone to the hobby store to have a space to play their hobby, and they're probably paying something towards the store to be there as well. Or at least buying something from the store to make it worth the while to host the game, right? It's none of your business. That game is their time. It's their hobby time. If they invite you to come over and watch the game, fair enough. If you ask them to watch the game, fair enough. You can then come in and watch the game. And if they ask you to leave, fair enough. Leave. It's their hobby time. Okay? And if you have nothing nice to say, do not approach the table. That's just how it needs to be, I'm afraid. Because the amount of these people who are in the hobby, unfortunately, is growing, as far as I'm concerned. Since the pandemic, I've gotten into playing more games locally. And, you know, I'm seeing more and more of these awkward conversations of these absolute mouth breathers who think it's okay to come over to your table and start critiquing your army, how you're playing it, how your opponent's playing it, what he likes about your army. Not the army you brought, but just the faction that you're playing. Like I wrote the rules for them, right? Oh, I hate the Grey Knight Brotherhoods. They're a bit overpowered. Alright, well, what army... this literally happened at my local store. It's not Games Workshop store, just my local gaming club. I'm playing a normal game 40k, 1,000 points. Guy comes up to me. I really, really hate the Brotherhoods. I think that the rules for them in the Codex are a bit overpowered. I was like, okay, yeah, but what armies do you play? Tau and Custodes. Right, okay. When did you start playing those? About 3 or 4 months ago, because obviously he's got a lot of money. I was like, okay, so why... In my mind, the only reason you're playing those armies is because they're really powerful, and you're winning a lot of games with them. Are you winning a lot of games with them? Yes. Well, they're the current meta. So why are you critiquing my army? Go away. You were not asked to come over to this table, right? This is a game between me and my new friend here that I've just made. Please leave me alone, right? You have no business being here and talking over our game. This is a private space. This table and the 2 feet around it where we're going to walk is a private space. Back off, please, right? It's the only way I know how to handle it. You know, if someone comes over and talks shop with me, talks about the hobby, brilliant, that's fine. As long as it's not slowing the game down loads, I'll politely say, look, I'm in the middle of game, man. Let's grab a coffee after this, though. Yeah, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, but normally people aren't like that. They will come over and they will say a few things, have a bit of fun, and then just like watch the game and laugh along with you as you're doing stuff. There are totally people like that, but there are also people like this who like to get involved in other people's games because they're fucking man-children and they need to slap around the jowls. Because most of them do have jowls, unfortunately. But anyway, moving on. Alright. Let me just take a... My seat's gone a bit weird. There we go. Right, so, Willick says, thank you, man, for the channel. I really wanted to say some really good stuff, because you mentioned in your last video that you wanted to see more good stories. Okay, cool. I was playing in a tournament that had a sort of newbie bro side league. Oh, that's nice, that's cool. There was a little lad, I would say around 10 or so. He did not get many opponents in the warm-up time, and also fell out in the second round. Oh, okay, fair enough. There was this dude who was playing in the main line with his fluffy Armageddon Legion with some Bane blades. During the break, he asked to play around with the little guy. That's cool. In the end, the small bro lost, but managed to take a centerpiece down. The dude packed up and left the big-ass tank on the board, stood up and told the kid to get a nice big box for his looted battle tank, and to orc it up a bit. Mad lad stood up and left. Never seen him since. Whoa. Wow. That is fucking amazing. That is fucking amazing. That is, oh my god. I love that. That's cool. See, you want to find these guys and just shake their hands and just be like, dude, you know, to give a Baneblade away, that's like £60 worth of kit. If not more now. How much is a Baneblade now? Let me just have a look online. That's got to be like... Imperial Guard. Guard. Baneblade. That's got to be a lot. The GW selling it for £72. Fuck me. So you just... $150. $150 online. I don't know why I'm in the American store. Let me go back to normal Blighty. £90. £90 worth of kit. He just gone, yeah, let's leave this here. Enjoy your new looted Battletech, man. Because obviously the kid's an Orc player. That's really cool. That is so amazing, man. So amazing. You know, to play a game with the kid, beat him, but then as soon as he takes down with a Baneblade, say, okay, making metal note, that's now his Baneblade, because I've got more than enough, and this kid needs a win. That's the hobby, man. I'm not saying give away your models on a regular basis, but, you know, hearing shit like that, absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, dude. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. So, this is also in the good part. Alright, so, Basil Zazzle says, hey man, another good story for you. When I was like 15 and beginning with my entire 10 Fire Warriors, Hammerhead, and a single Crisis suit, I made a dumb mistake and a store employee rightfully corrected the thing I said. I learned rules from a friend and he taught me wrong, unfortunately. I was a little put off, but in retrospect I can see it did need correcting. But he came back around and apologised if he was too harsh in how he stated the correction and didn't want to be misconstrued. Massively mature from the guy. Yeah, that's really cool. That is really cool. I really like it when Games Workshop employees and store employees do shit like that, right? They come over and they tell you what's wrong. But sometimes, if you're having a bad day, you can have a little slip and say, look, this isn't right. I once did this with a kid in 40k because I was in Games Workshop because I was explaining things to different people all at once because it was a Sunday game, and at the Sunday game there were lots of kids around. And I was quite hungover, quite tired, and I was running this game on my own, and I shouldn't have been. And I was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and this kid kept asking the same question even though I've given him the answer so many times. And I turned around and I snapped at him a little bit, and I told him the answer again, and I went right back to what I was doing. Immediately I knew, because I saw the look on the kid's face like, oh no, I got told off, right, that kind of a look. And I was like, hey man, how's it going? I went over to him and said, hey man, how's it going? Listen, sorry about that. Just lots of things going on. You know, I haven't had a lot of sleep, but you know, how's your game going? What's going on here? And he's like, yeah, this is, and he taught me through Space Wolves. And I was like, you know, I don't like Space Wolves, so I slapped him. No, I'm joking. I didn't do that. So I said, oh, right, yeah, Space Wolves, yes. And he said, yeah, I know you don't like Space Wolves. And I said, no, I don't, but these are painted really well, and you're actually winning, so I'm going to let you off. You know, that sort of a thing. We got a bit of banter going. He's only like 13. But, like, you need to do that in a Games Workshop store and in a hobby store. You need to make sure, if you're working there, if you have these little slips that you go and you rescue these people, because you don't want them getting a bad-natured view of the hobby. You just don't. So, Greenstag says, I was a ref at a local tournament. I had to throw someone out for making rape threats to the girl who beat him. There was also the bloke who would just turn and stare at any woman in the gaming hall when it wasn't his turn. Why are they all these kinds of stories? Why? Why do these come up in every single mailbag? Why? What? I'd like to think that people like myself, do you know what I do whenever I'm in a store or anything like that, and I'm playing a game Warhammer 40k or whatever, and I can sense myself being in a bit of a bad mood, or if a hot-looking woman comes in, do you know what I do? You know what I do? I think, what would Daddy Valrak think if I did something here? If I, you know, before I take any sort of action, I think, what would Daddy Valrak think? What would Chapter Master Valrak think? And if I can imagine him standing behind me, shaking his head with a pursed bottom lip, like he's really disappointed, I don't do that action. That's what you should do. Or Stop acting like a cunt. That's another thing you can do. Like, stop being dicks to people who are coming into our hobby. It is not cool. Stop it. Right? If I ever catch any of you motherfuckers doing this in my presence, right? I'm not a small man, right? 6 foot tall. I don't care how big you are. You're getting the nearest model across the face. Across the face. I'm not a white knight. I don't give a shit. A lot of these people can stand up for themselves. But what really pisses me off, it's not the fact that you're having a go at these women or whoever's coming in or whatever marginalised people are coming into the hobby. It's the fact that you're destroying my hobby. So go fuck yourself. You're destroying my hobby with your own small-minded mouth-breathingness. That's what you're doing. And it's annoying me. Stop it. Don't do it. Moving on. Okay. I'm not going to like this next one, am I? Gernond. I went to my friendly local game store, and I always had no problem for several years. I went there with a female friend, and they crumbled to dust. 2 people just straight up left the store, and the store employee was not able to even look at her. Every time she asked some questions, he would look at me and answer them as if I was the one asking. It was hilarious to me since I knew the woman was just as anxious as the employee, just better at hiding it. See, this is something that will scare a lot of people who aren't, like, general males away from playing the hobby. And it's unfortunate because we need more people in the hobby, no matter what you look like or where you come from. We need the hobby to grow. We need the hobby to make sure that it's healthy going forwards. And as far as I'm concerned, it is quite healthy and it is doing quite well. But we need to make sure that people are not turned away by your own insecurities, right? I've said this before on general advice videos. If you do not know how to act around a woman, there is always a Chad bro. At every single local game store I've ever been to, there's been a Chad bro. What I mean by that is, there is a guy who is generally 5'11" or above, chiseled, good looking, and, you know, knows his way around a woman. You know what I mean? Without being too weird, right? Talk to that guy. And if you don't have one, come online, come to this channel, and talk to me. I'm not saying I look like that, by the way, but, you know, I'm a normal guy who's dated a lot, and I can give you some advice, right? We have channels we have videos on this channel that deal with it as well. If you don't know what to do, ask somebody, ask a bro, right? I am here for you. Come and speak to me. If there's not one in your local game store, come and message me, right? And we message the mailbox. I will get back to you, and I'll give you advice as quickly as I can, right? I will even do a one-on-one call with you if I think it's serious enough, an issue, right? So, but in general, there's always a Chad bro at your local game store. I've not been to a local game store where there isn't one. I can always pick them out of the room, right? A normal guy with a normal job, good looking, you know, women like him. That's the guy to go to and say, look, man, how do I get over this? How do I stop being nervous around ladies when they come into the store? Because not only would I like to meet one day and settle down, but also I'd like them to come into the store and just have fun without, like, me, you know, making them feel weird. That is the most brave thing you can do at all times. And you know what? A good Chad bro will look at that and go, man, that's cool, really cool that you want to do that. Okay, what do you want to talk about? Come on, buy me a pint. Let's go have a pint and let's talk about it. And you will be so surprised how many of these Chad bros will do that for you, because they're bros. That's what they do, right? They're just cool people. And, you know, if you get knocked back and they say, listen, man, you know, I just want to do a bit of hobbying, blah, blah, fine. Say, look, that's fine. I just wanted you to know that, you know, I'm available to hear the advice if you ever have any. You know, that's it, right? Oh, yeah, cool. Just walk off, do your own thing, right? You were honest. And I don't know anybody who'll think that you're weird for doing that, especially if you do it in a private manner and say, look, man, can I speak to you for a minute? You know, I've noticed that, you know, you're good at speaking to girls, you're good at doing this, you're good at doing that. Do you mind if I talk to you about it? Because I'm a bit nervous. I don't know of any man who would turn you down. I don't know of any man who would say, no, I don't want to speak about it. You know, most men would be like, yeah, cool, man, no problem. Because we love passing on knowledge and information. We love teaching. That's what men do. Like, we love teaching. You know, when people complain about mansplaining and stuff like that. I honestly think sometimes that one or two things is happening. Either the guy is taking his teaching instinct and it's been coloured by his own warped, stupid personality, and so it's coming across really badly, or the other person misinterprets the guy's teaching instinct and just uses it as like thinks it's like an arrogant thing that he's doing when he's not. He's just trying to pass on some cool information, you know? But anyway, moving on. Open offer, by the way. So, Discord is there below if you want to talk to me about shit. No problem. Okay. So, Viper Xeon says, "This is my horror story. Being a woman in wargaming spaces can be an interesting experience at times." Okay, so I'm getting more and more and more of these stories, which I think I will bump up the video about bullying and harassment that goes on in the hobby to maybe earlier on this week, because I think it will link in very nicely from these stories. So, my brother and I went to a new Games Workshop store one day about 8 years ago now. Bear in mind, I've been involved in this hobby on and off for well over 15 years now. My brother originally got me into it, but quit some time before we went to this shop. So anyway, my brother and I go to this Games Workshop so I could buy myself a model and some paint. As soon as we enter the store, there is nothing but dead silence and bug-eyed stares. Okay, fair enough. But okay, that's really cool of you, right? See, a lot of women know the reaction they're gonna get, and they're thick-skinned enough to just walk in and get on with it, you know? They shouldn't have to, but, you know, most of them do. But the manager decided to completely ignore me as if I wasn't there and decided to speak to my brother instead. My brother told the manager multiple times that he should serve me instead, as I'm the one making the purchases. The guy ignored me the whole time, and when he was ringing up the products and then turned to my brother, stating the total as if he was paying. My brother got pissed off and said to him, "Are you ever going to directly acknowledge my sister, or are you going to still continue being this rude?" The guy finally got the hint and took my cash. Like, I know what it means to be nervous interacting with customers sometimes, but it seemed like this guy was just being a bit of a twat than anything else. Such a strange experience. Another time I went to a different store that I don't normally go to. Went to pick up a tank that was on the shelf next to the gaming table. The older gentleman sitting there painting scoffed and said, "Oh, a girl. You must want to paint it pink then." He got his answer when I said I've been painting since I was 12, and no, it wasn't going to be pink but Black Templars colours instead. He didn't answer back, so I think he got the hint that the comment was very unnecessary. And people wonder why it's such a sausage fest at times. Okay. If you guys want to know why you can't find decent women to play with or to... Ooh, that sounds horrible. Ooh. But like, you know, decent women to play games with or to even meet, right, in a hobby store, this is why. Because of fucktards like this. As Viper Xeon says, this is why it's such a sausage fest. This is why. Because for every 9 really cool dudes who are in the hobby, and that's most of you, there's always that one. Are you going to paint it pink? Like, that guy, right? There's always one. It only takes one. It really does, because none of us have to put up with that shit most of the time, right? When we get it from dudes, it tends to be, you know, general stuff around the hobby that everyone can sort of get on board with, right? If somebody has a go at my models, 8 or 9 blokes in that store will stand up and say, "That's fucking bullshit, take that back, what a dickhead," you know? Because we can all relate to that. But if there's a woman there getting shit for being a woman, we can't really relate to that. So we just go, well, if I stand up for her, I'm going to look like I want to fuck her, and I don't. So, you know, I'll just stay here and not say anything, right? That's the difference. When people ask me, well, what's the difference? We have to put up with it all the time from these guys. Well, that's the difference. The difference is, you can't really empathise with her situation because you don't know what she's going through, right? But the only way to get at that is to say, hey, that's not cool. We don't want that in the hobby. Go fuck yourself, right? What a stupid thing to say, right? Now, does this mean I like all these adverts where normally, like, the straight white guy is painted as the horrific person in any group, right? Like, hey, dude, you can't say that to a woman. Like the enlightened guy of not white origin comes in and says, "Hey, man, you shouldn't be saying that, dude. Women are equal to everybody, and it's people like you make the world a bad place." No, that's fucking bullshit, right? No, I hate that shit. I hate painting people You know, that I call them normal, the normal males, right? The normal male demographic of Warhammer 40,000 is, 18 to 50 years old, generally in the middle of that area or to the lower end of that area, and white, generally, right? And I fucking hate the fact that these adverts are out there. I see them on YouTube all the time. Like, literally on people's YouTube videos all the time. Like, they come on, and these companies will... Google do it. These companies... Keep paying me, Google. Don't stop, but, but they do it all the time. Like they paint people like this, and I fucking hate it. But you know what I really hate more than that? Is guys like this who give them an excuse to do so. That's what I hate more. It's guys like this who give people an excuse to paint all hobbyists with the same brush. Fuck you. Sod you. Get out the hobby. Either change the way you act or get out the hobby. Right? We don't need it. We need to self-police. We don't want people painting us like this, because that's not who we are. And that's never been who we are as a hobbyist and as a group of hobbyists. It's never been who we are. We've always been top to bottom decent blokes who want people to enjoy this thing called Warhammer that we really like. Right? That's it. We're painters, we're sculptors, we're teachers, we're construction workers, we're council workers, we're therapists, we're everything under the sun that you can think of. Right? Bin men, whatever, soldiers. I met so many soldiers. We're from every single walk of life, and we're normal blokes with families. Most of us, right? We're dads, uncles, whatever. And we're decent blokes. That's what we are in this hobby. And it's fucktards like this that ruin that for everybody else. Because the only thing that people see, they latch on to negative. The only things people see are the negative stories like this. So whenever you go into a Games Workshop store or a hobby store, remember, you are a representative of our hobby. You are the guy holding the standard of what the hobby is and what the hobby should be moving forwards. You bear a great responsibility, because all the kids who want to get into this hobby in the next 10, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, who aren't even born yet, you are the custodian of the hobby. Games Workshop aren't. They've proven that time and time again. They're not. The hobby does not belong to them. They sell you the models, but it doesn't belong to them. It belongs to you. You're the custodian. And you're the one who has to act in a way where adverts like this and stories like this generally don't happen. It's up to you. It's up to you. And by the way, if you see stories like that, or you see adverts like that, yeah, call them out for the bullshit that they are. Because they're painting us in a way that is untrue. Right? Stuff like this is far rarer than people let on. But the unfortunate thing is, when it does happen, it drowns out. One negative story drowns out 10 positive ones. Right? So we need to make sure that it doesn't happen. You're the custodian of the hobby moving forwards. It's your responsibility to be a better man and work on yourself and get your bros around you and make sure that you're pushing in the right direction. And yeah, you're going to have days where you slip. Yeah, you're going to have days where you're not feeling it. Yeah, you're going to have days where, in general, you're annoyed at the world and you don't want to get out of bed in the morning. But always treat things as tiny little wins. Me getting out of bed today and doing this video is a win for me. I'm not feeling it today. I don't feel it most days. Right? But this is what we have to do as a group of hobbyists, is claw and struggle and get there little bit by little bit by little bit. And we will get to a stage where our hobby is held up as a standard of what can be achieved when people put their minds together and actually get together to do something really cool. Right? Do I want it to be as watered down as Dungeons and Dragons? Of course not. We have a grimdark. We have a grimdark setting and a grimdark game. And it should stay that way. But that doesn't mean we can't have a brotherhood that's full of all multiple different people from different races, cultures, creeds, and sexes. Right? That's how it should be. And that's why I wanted to end on a story like that. Because I just think that's the way the hobby should go. And now that I'm going to step back from a soapbox And I'm going to end the video there. Anyway, every offer that I said in this video is there. If you want to talk to me, please message me. If you don't have that Chad bro to talk to, you know, I can step in, you know. I'm not as chatty as other people are, but, you know, I'm definitely a bro. I think I am. So come and talk to me if you can't speak to anybody else. Here for you. And if you've been marginalised in the hobby, please talk to me. Because even though it makes my blood boil, it does give me opportunities to speak about what I find important. I want to be, moving forwards, a custodian of the hobby and a representative of bros like you. If you're listening to this video, I want to be a representative of the Baneblade guy who put his Baneblade down on the table and walked off and said, "That's now yours, man." I want to be that guy's representative in the hobby, right? I want to be that guy. Hopefully I can get there with the channel. We'll see. Anyway, I love you all long time. Hope you enjoyed this reading from the Mailbag of Nightmares. And I'll speak to you next time. Have a really good one. Love you all. See you later.